So here we are in the very first episode of Dare2Begin. So in fact, I have started to, I got this idea of starting a podcast for a long time. So I've been thinking about this. I was waiting for this particular person to start the entire series because initially I fixed in my mind that this is the person I'm going to start with. There are a couple of reasons for that. So one, because this is one person, like I've seen her entrepreneurial journey from the beginning. I've seen her grow from scratch, and she is doing phenomenally great right now in the space of art and art and design. So here we are. We have Vidya Kumaresan, founder of The Wishing Inc. Hello Vidya, hi.
Hi, and thank you so much for that intro. So I'm personally elated, like very level. But thank you so much for having here, and it's a pleasure to be your very first person to be, like the choice for this, and
Right.
it means a lot.
The reasons being, as I told you, like I've seen you from the scratch, and this idea behind this entire podcast is to talk about the entire journey, like how people are starting it, how the simple desire of starting their own business, or uh, being an artist. So you start from scratch, like you started learning certain skill, and from there you go on to pursue it as an entire career. So I feel this journey is so important, and not many around us, in fact, like since we are from a same university, we know, we have seen people, we have we had common friends, and we know how things have been in a professional level, how college works, how the education system works. So from here, like I feel you stood out, and you have created a great impact, especially in the design field, which is not so prominent in a regular way. So that's why, like, I want to start with how this entire journey started. How do you get, how have you got into this particular field of design? Can you
I
elaborate,
would
like
say
how
it
this all
all started with the same university that we studied in. In fact, I took up a degree called Agricultural Information Technology. It's a BTech course. And I think quite right in my second year, I had a course on multimedia, which was exceptionally, what do you call, quite different from agriculture. So it had things to do with Photoshop. And I think that was my very first encounter with designing software. And I was given a very simple project, but I think I got very curious with that whole software and things about it. But I think this was back in 2009 or 10, I'm not sure, but I wasn't very much aware on how to take this forward. So I had to continue my degree of agriculture and then figure things out. So once I was done with my agriculture degree, I think it was in 2012, I decided to take things up notch and learn designing. So I went ahead with doing a diploma in graphic designing and animation from a nice institute in Coimbatore. And that's how things started for me. And my journey, I wouldn't say the journey with art started only at that point. I think even as a kid, I was quite good at drawing, sketching, and I was always looking forward to get neat and good in my records and stuff. So drawing was always there, but I think I never got a platform to, put that, what do you call, the creative space, or what do you call, like an idea where I could just put things out and make it a thing. So I think Instagram sort of gave me that platform. So after completing my diploma and stuff, yes, I did get into a job for 2 years. And but in those 2 years I was only learning, but I was not experimenting much. So I sort of started feeling very monotonous about my life, like just doing a job from 9 to 6 and not doing anything more than that. So I wanted to explore that creative side even more, and I quit my job in like 2017 and I started my own business. So it didn't start immediately like, I'm going to do this after quitting my job. No, it didn't happen that way. I just thought of taking a small break and figuring things out. So in that phase, I was thinking maybe another job will help me out. But then I think talking about Instagram, I stumbled upon it. And that's when I figured out like you can actually do a lot of things just on social media. And, you can almost set up a business on social media. So one thing led to another, and I think in a couple of months, I started my brand, The Wishing Ink, which was all about handmade stuff relating to calligraphy and lettering. And slowly, I think one by one, it led me into exploring different opportunities. So it
Right.
started with just creating and learning, and then it went on to, experimenting different mediums, like not just paper, but also digital, and then also going on a large scale, like painting a wall or a mural. So yeah, I think that's how it all started. But I think it started with my university in second year with all that Photoshop thingy.
Amazing. So I think I share a lot of common things with you because even I started my, the art side of journey from our university, wherein like we had a diploma course. I learned, I think it's different, but I learned Photoshop and Premiere Pro. And I mean, I can see a lot of similarity. And here, actually, whatever you have told me brought the next question. Um, because I've seen a lot of my friends who are really passionate about, let's say, photography or designing, painting, even handmade stuff. I've seen a lot of people. In fact, throughout this, I mean, I would say in the past decade, like I've seen many friends from school, colleges, my postgrad. So they're phenomenal in certain things, but they always keep that as a hobby, right? Like it is not considered to be like a full-time job or I've seen people who completely stop doing things once they get into a professional job, right? In fact, I've seen one of my great friends, right? Like one of my best friends. So he's phenomenally great. Like he does a lot of drama, mimicry, and I was
Mm-mm.
expecting him to be, some great star when I was in school. But I don't know because of the society or the system. I mean, it was gradually, it was suppressed. And right now, still, like I can, when I'm talking to him, like I can feel that he still has that urge towards, doing something, but he's not able to. So that's where our, this podcast comes in, Dare to Begin. So where this entire journey started and how you dared to begin, like when did you decide that, you did a 4-year course, a professional course, which is completely different from what you're currently doing. And I feel, this podcast is all about that, like how you dare to begin from what you have been doing. And you're probably, your parents and friends must be thinking that you will get into an agricultural company or a IT company and do stuff. So where this
Yeah.
transition happened, like what made you to take this decision, and what was that? I mean, I want to let's tell the listeners more about that.
See, taking this decision is not usually very easy because you have a lot of constraints. Like, it might be your family or it might be, like you said, society and stuff. But I think deep inside, I'm a person who really doesn't care much about what other people have to say. And to me, I personally believe like my happiness matters a lot. And if I'm not happy doing something, then it's no use at all doing that thing. So even though when I was in a job when I was getting well paid, I think I was not having any hard time with the people around me or the work that I was given with. It was only that feel, that empty feel that I was getting, like, I'm not quite happy with what I'm doing. This is something that I don't want. I want more. I want to be more on the creative side and stuff. And probably initially, even I was a bit skeptical, like, should I leave my job for that? Or maybe I should stay in a job and do, you can sometimes manage things like be a work, like you can work in the morning and be an artist by night, stuff like that. But I think for me, it didn't work that way. I can only focus on one thing at a time. So I decided like if I need to, do what I really want and I want to, figure things out, I have to quit my job. So maybe I put myself in a place like once I quit my job, I will be forced to find my passion and I have no other choice. So
Right.
I did that. I quit my job. I didn't know what I wanted, but I just decided to quit my job and then take things forward, like what I have to do with my life. And I think to my luck, I stumbled upon Instagram and I figured things out right very quickly. Like, it just took me a couple of months. And one more thing is for me, like, yeah, of course, I was asked by my parents, like, why did you quit your job? Like, what are you going to do next? I sort of didn't have answers to their questions at that time. But I felt like eventually what I do will reflect and they will definitely understand, what I am doing. And art definitely is worth, putting in all those effort and something really great is going to happen out of it. So I was quite confident. You can call like I had sort of overconfidence with myself, like, yeah, I can definitely do this. But if I don't do this, I'm going to regret for the rest of my life. And I don't think I can live that way. So I just decided to give it a try. Though my parents were a bit, you know, not so supportive initially, because I wouldn't say it's their fault. I would say that they didn't understand what this was. And until I tried and, made things possible, I was also in a space where I was able to explain it to them. So once I did that, they totally understood, okay, she's doing something and there is a possibility of making money out of this. And they were also proud to, seeing that I was getting recognition. So I was on papers and I was on different, social media. And when they saw all those things, they were like, okay, so this is not an easy deal or something, like hobby. No, people actually acknowledge this, and they make a big deal out of it. So once I started showing them how actually the audience appreciate your work and how they think this is a big deal, and how on daily basis you get to inspire people with your art and all those things, I think they slowly started understanding, and now they're very supportive of what I do.
Right.
Because there were times when I used to travel for workshop, and I think my parents never said no, like don't go here or don't go there. They were always supportive. They used to come along with me for travel workshops and all. And even
Right.
when I was assigned with certain projects, like which had something where I had to go or travel, they're definitely very supportive. So it's definitely not going to be an easy ride. Yeah,
Right.
people will question you and everything, but if you are quite confident enough with what you're going to do, and like outcome is going to be like this, initially you just have to keep quiet, be patient, and let your work talk. And once you
Right.
come to that point, you don't have to explain anything to anyone, and it's natural, it's self-explanatory. People will understand and be like, okay, finally all that keeping quiet is for this. She is capable of doing wonderful things and stuff like that.
Right.
So to me, I think that confidence that I had is a must for every other artist who's planning to, do things in life. If you're very confident in yourself and you know what you're doing and you can see a future with that, I think nothing should stop you. But yeah, if you're quite uh, confused with what other people will talk or what other
Right.
people will say, that's definitely going to, not push you, but it's going to just stop you there and, only keep you in
Exactly.
that zone where you keep thinking. So I think that's something a lot of people end up doing. Like they just think like what other people will think or
Right.
what do they have to say. And they sort of lack that confidence in them as well, because they think like, when you get support from family or you get support from society, you can do things. But no, when you actually have yourself and you can support yourself and you take things forward, society will naturally come and be like, oh, okay, she's doing amazing things. And they'll
Right.
generally not be saying bad things, but they'll be like telling
Yeah.
you the opposite things. Oh wow,
Okay.
we knew this and stuff like that. So I think people should be like, if they're very very sure what they want in life, and this one particular decision is something that they're not going to regret in life, they should
Right.
just take it.
Yeah, I think this clarity, this particular clarity which you have, I think most of the people who I've met and even my friends or the colleagues. So I think this clarity was not there. I mean, if I need to put it in a single sentence, the clarity was not there. One thing, like they exactly don't know what they are capable of, or I mean, they suppress themselves at points like where they are not sure about what they are capable of doing. Maybe it's because of
Yeah.
several reasons which is around them. And I think one more thing which actually like I wanted to ask, as you mentioned, because when you talk about this, it seems like a more of a cakewalk, right? Like I mean, you got appeared in newspapers and people were started recognizing you, and I'm quite sure probably not many of your relatives even now knowing like what you're exactly doing. And I
Yeah,
think
true.
we have doctors, we have engineers, probably we have lawyers. I mean, especially, I'm thinking, I mean, not just South or Tamil Nadu, I mean, in general, the entire country. So you don't, I mean, we are not exposed as a kids or students to multiple different, arena of studies. We are being told continuously, you need to become a doctor or engineer or a lawyer. So, I mean, that's where we have been stopped. But what do you think about this? I mean, what do you think art or, designing, calligraphy, or overall, I would say there are multiple multimedia courses available there, and viscom courses. So but even now it is being considered to be that third grade or second grade of courses which people go for when they are not capable of doing the IITs or probably MITs of the country. So I mean, that is something the parents have. The idea behind this particular, the overall series I mean, we as people who are into the different type of business or different type of profession, I would like to know, what what kind of changes or what kind of adaptations the society needs to have or the people around us need to have. I think if some young parents looking at this or somebody who is actually listening to this podcast who want to push their kids into an engineering college or a doctor, so I mean, I'm not against it, but still not everybody is meant for that. That's what I believe. I mean, in fact, we have spoken about this even in our previous conversations. So what do you think about
Yeah.
the art, media, cinema, or anything related to creativity? So what do you think about this kind of courses and how it needs to be included in our course structure right from the school? So do you have anything regarding to that? I mean, have you thought about this kind of thing?
See, I think like yeah, we always overlook like this entertainment stuff, like people like art and movies and short films and everything are mostly overlooked. Like these are all entertainment stuff, and you don't make much money out of it. That's a common myth among people. But when you closely look around into it, even if you are a doctor, you need to put up a sign, and there is an art into it. Art is everywhere. I'm not just telling you like my field, but in general I'm talking about design and stuff. So people are not aware of that little thing, right? They only see like, okay, you're a doctor, then it's a great thing. If you're an engineer, then it's a great thing. But I think it's because not many people are still aware of the things that you can do with all these things and how they affect the environment. So let's say, for example, why do you think why workshops are widely recognized in recent trend, like during this COVID, than in any other year? It's because, yeah,
Can
you
you
can be a
elaborate about
doctor.
workshop? What do you mean by workshop? Because
A
probably it will
workshop
help
as
people.
in
Yeah.
like art workshop, yeah. So why I'm
Right.
saying art workshops were such in a trend, and there were also corporates who were switching like from their original uh, you know jobs to taking workshops. Like they became a platform for conducting art workshops, is because, see, you can be a doctor, you can be an engineer or anything, but I feel like there is a lot of stress and pressure right now, irrespective of any sort of profession you take. Yeah, of course it's going to give you money. At the same time, it's also going to keep you in a very stressful environment. So that's when these kind of industries pop in, like art and entertainment stuff, because you need to let go of that stress. And yes, people only lately are acknowledging the very fact about stress and how art and other fields can make their lives better. So I think, as far as my experience comes in, lately parents are quite encouraging when it comes to art. They are sending their kids for workshop. They are sending them to learn things, learn new things. They want their kids to be like painting stuff or learning a new software. They're not like the traditional, like maybe my parents weren't like that. They always thought even dancing was like of no good to you. Why are you doing that? But I think the parents of this generation are quite open and quite modern to things that are coming their way, and they want their kids to experiment in each and every field possible. And they're quite also open to letting them choose what they want. So yeah, this was a thing in past. Yeah, it is still a thing in few families, but on a major scale, if you see, I'm quite glad that things have changed for a lot of people. So art is recognized widely actually in 2020. You wouldn't believe that too, through workshops. And people now really are like, I want to learn more. I want to, spend more time on creating art. And there are certain people who approach me asking like, how can I make a career out of this? Like, I really like this and I really want this. And but right now I'm in a job space where I'm not able to do much, but I really want to do this. So things have changed lately after 2020, after the pandemic, and more than ever, right now, art is widely being recognized. And since it's have gone to online platform and stuff like that, people are more inclined towards it, and they are actually making their kids learn and supporting this very thing. And it's not just I'm talking about art; it's about any field that you take, like designing or anything that has other than that. Like even there are workshops on photography, filmmaking and stuff that you can right now learn from home. And you can I think this is a place where it has made everything from home. Like you can learn things from home and everything. So right now I don't think not many people are focused on being a doctor or engineer. And these things have become very secondary right now in a lot of families.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
don't think Yeah. So I don't think like, you have to tell or I have to convey something. It's already there, and people are actually accepting art and
Right,
other field, and are open to, letting their kids experiment. And I hope
right,
this continues and, goes on for generation. That's what I secretly pray for.
right. I mean, that is a good stuff. We as a, that, I mean, people like you, I think, as you mentioned, that there are several kids coming to the design workshops. I mean, that is a good sign for the upcoming future. That's fantastic. The one more thing which I wanted to discuss was that, you're not from Chennai, you're not from Mumbai, but you're somebody who's from a town. I mean, I'm from not wrong,
Yeah.
you're from Namakkal, but you have been traveling across. But what I wanted to ask is, like, you are, I hope, like, you must be the one unique odd man out in your entire, family, who's into a different kind of
Yeah.
a profession, and
Yep.
so am I. So what is the kind of difference that it creates in your day-to-day life? Let's say if there is another girl from Namakkal or somewhere from Dharmaburi or anywhere else. So if somebody is listening to this, I really want, what was the internal drive? I mean, what actually made you to take that, choose this path? So because I hope there are a lot of artists and designers need to come from the villages and the towns of the state, I mean, from all over the country, because
Yeah.
there are people, I mean, especially in Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, people are exposed to fields like this, but still, like, when I talked about, um, the the knowledge about these kind of professions were not there. So what will you say? I mean, what are the opportunities out there in specific to design? How can you learn? Because there were times when you need to attend professional courses outside to learn certain skills, like, let's say, Photoshop or Illustrator or any other uh, things. And even now, I mean, there are very good institutes which actually give such good courses. But what do you think? I mean, let's say, what is the kind of opportunities people have and how they can learn if they want to make a career out of design? If somebody from school or college listening to it, like, what are the steps? Give me like few points which will actually help people to start pursuing towards design as a career.
See, like you said, the place, it doesn't really matter because, yeah, of course, I was one who studied. I went from Namakkal to Coimbatore to, pursue my diploma in animation and graphic designing. But I say that right now the trend is like, if at all I was right now in this year and I wanted to pursue something similar, I don't think I would be searching or looking for, a physical institute where I can go and learn. Rather, I think online has so many, what do you call, forums where you can just learn. So I would suggest people, so I am someone who looks into, like, see, I wouldn't consider myself like I've learned everything. I'm also someone who's learning on a daily basis. So I regularly look up to platforms like Skillshare and also YouTube whenever I end up, having some doubts in certain areas. So even when I was actually, sorry, doing my what do you call, animation and graphic designing, I was learning from an online platform called Linda. Not sure if it's still there, but it's called lynda.com. So there's always something online where you find a source that will help you, develop your knowledge. And you don't have to be in different places. You can just sit in one place, and if you have a good computer or a good, laptop and a good Wi-Fi, you're good to go and learn anything that you want to learn. So for me, I think, though I was physically sitting there and learning, there were so many other things I just learned online by, like, sitting in one place and just
Exactly.
having an internet and doing things. So right now I feel like, there is no need like you have to go, like, yeah, of course, if you feel like, so there are two categories of people. So one feel like, online works for them. They can grasp things quickly, like, seeing things or videos online. But then there are other category who feel like they need the person to be there to teach them. So I have met both the categories, and I've also, interacted with both these categories, and it is actually for them, like, some people are not able to grasp online. So if you're one such person who is like, no matter how much I try to sit online and learn things, it doesn't work, then I would suggest you to, go for a physical institute or a college where, you can learn things. But right now I think that would not be feasible. Like, once the college opens, maybe you can do it. But if you're some person who is like very, very comfortable doing things like learning online and you can grasp things up, I think you can just go ahead with a lot and lot of, like I said, the one that I know mainly is like Skillshare, and the other one is Linda. And if neither of these two is like, you're not in a space to spend too much of money, I think YouTube has so many, sources for you, and then it's mostly free, and you can learn a lot out of just YouTube. I know a lot of artists who just learned things from YouTube and now are doing amazing things. Yeah.
Right.
So a space, like the place really doesn't matter. And for me, even when I'm setting up an online business, so things are online for me. And like you see, my reach is mostly through Instagram, which is again a social media. So all I have to do is like sit in my place, create a content and post it online, and make people see it and tell them like, these are the things that I do. So my forte would be to market myself as much as possible, and my products as well. So I think all these things are very much possible from Namakkal or even any other small town you're sitting right in. And if you have a good Wi-Fi connection, that's more than enough. You don't need anything more. But if you're coming on the side of, like where you want to stock stuffs and stuff like that, where you're building a very big brand with team members and stuff, I think that is where you decide to move out to a city, because you'll have more exposure. And if you're planning to build up your own product line, which is going to be a lot in numbers, you need place to stock. So you cannot just sit in the
Right.
corner of your room and keep doing
Right.
things. So I think once your big business starts booming, becoming bigger and bigger, you that's the time when you think about moving to a city where you have so many options and opportunity. But
Right.
if you're planning to do it on a small scale, I think your area doesn't even matter. It can be Namakkal, or it can be Chennai, or it can be Bangalore, or it can be Davapuri. Anywhere, the output is going to be same, irrespective of your location.
Amazing. Yeah, that comes to my next question, because you were working for 2 years, and from there you took a decision to, let's say, to go and pursue a course, and from there you
Yeah.
wanted to begin your career. So where were you exactly? Let's say consider like somebody who is working in a bank, or somebody who's working in a professional job, who's not really meant for that. I'm not saying, because bank is an amazing profession, and so does any profession, right? But I've seen people who are not really satisfied, or not feeling that fulfillment when they are working on a profession. There is a point. I mean, there is a saturation point. Above that, they cannot do anything. I've seen people who
Yeah.
just leave their
True.
dream and move ahead with the way the system or the family or the society is being there. So let's consider somebody who is into job for like 2 3 years but not really happy, and want to begin. They want dare to begin. I mean, let's for somebody like
True.
that. How was your particular journey during that time? Let's say you were working for 2 years, then you wanted to go into art, and what was the transition like? And where were you when you decided that? Were you a professional, or were you a great artist by that particular moment, or how this transition happened? There must be a phase when you actually started up. How does that happen?
So for me, I was working for 2 years as a graphic designer. So the first year I was a junior, and the next year I was like promoted to be a senior graphic designer. Things were totally fine for me. I think the point where I started feeling a little bit void was when being a graphic designer was fine. Yeah, I was creating amazing things for clients, but there came a point where I sort of didn't have that freedom to create things. I was only told to do things like, you do these things, you do these things, but I was doing nothing, like, just following their order. I was not doing anything more than that, and my creative space over there was like, sort of, gone. Nothing was there. So I think that point was where I felt like, I cannot be doing this. No, I cannot be doing this anymore. I need to do something more where I feel myself. So I think it took me at least 2 years to figure that, because first few months, like first year was totally fine because I was in the learning phase and I was ready to learn things. So once in the second year when I've learned things, I think
Yeah.
I sort of started feeling like, I need more, but definitely not this. Need to
Right.
learn more, but something else, but not this. So after that, I decided like, okay, something is wrong. I need to sit and work on it. So I didn't quit my job immediately. I sort of gave a little thought on it. So I sat on it for a couple of months before I came to this decision, like why I want to quit and what I want to do. And once I was like, I think at that point I was not even aware like what I wanted to do. I was just like, maybe if I quit my job, I'll figure things out, because being in a job, I'm going to feel very safe and I'll never have this thought of, doing something else. So for that need, I quit my job. And once I quit my job, I think I was confused between taking a job in a city, in another city. Not that I was not in a city. Coimbatore is a city, but I've been in that city for quite a long time. Like back then, it was 8 years. So I thought maybe a change in place will, change things for me. But then came a thought where, like I don't think a change in place will help me. Maybe something else. So all these thought process happened in like once I quit my job, like there was a 2 month break that I took, and in those 2 months I was figuring things out like what I wanted, but also to keep my same self, I was also drawing on the side by side, like illustrating and doing things and posting it on social media. And what happened was, you wouldn't believe this. When I was posting on social media, I was seen by a lot of companies who wanted to hire me as a graphic designer again. And I also gave in, like, I attended their interviews and stuff like that. But then there was also a point where someone just saw my work and wanted to give me, like, a customized order. And
Right.
I was like, universe just put these two things right in front of me at the same time. Now I had a
Right.
very hard time choosing, like, do I want to do the same thing that I was doing for the last 2 years, or do I want to try something new? And I think
Right.
at that point, I wouldn't say this is okay for everyone, but being a kid, like, I have an elder sister, and so she's the responsible one, and I'm the younger. So I didn't have much of a responsibility attached to me. I think that also was a, pro for me.
Right.
So I felt like, what do I have to lose? Nothing much. So if this fails, I can definitely get back to a regular job. But I don't think if I go to a regular job, I'll be able to, ever get back to this.
Right.
So I was like, I have nothing much to lose. So let me give this try. So I think that was the point where I took up art and decided to, do something. And I think the joy I got out of it was like, I cannot explain it in words, because I was doing something and it was my very own creation. Nobody has told me what to do. There was complete freedom. Like, you can do whatever you want to do. Just put your creative self out there. And I was just loving it. Like the whole time I was creating this product for a client, I was just falling in love with it, like, minute by minute. And I wanted this more. And that feeling is something that, I thought like, okay, I'm not giving up on this feeling. I want this more. So I just, took
Yeah,
that as
that's an
my
amazing
profession.
feeling. Like, yeah, I mean, that is
Yeah.
something when you have that independence to do what you are thinking of, and even if it
Yeah.
is not turning out to be great, I mean, you have that satisfaction, it's yours completely. I mean, yeah, I can totally get that. I mean, that is
Very
something
true.
invaluable, right? I mean, it is not, you won't get that in a regular job. I mean, there are things which is specific to entrepreneurs where that is invaluable. I mean, it's not connected with any sort of a amount which you earn. I mean, that comes as
Very
a
true.
subsidiary. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was doing this, yeah, the job that I was offered with was definitely going to pay me, like, a standard salary. Whereas this, you never know what is going to happen out of it. But I think I also like that thrill that it gave me. Like, I want to
Right.
do this and see how it goes. And I took it up. Yeah, I wouldn't say like the initial few months are like, the great thing on the payment wise. It was a struggle, but eventually I learned a lot. And I think if you see a journey, it's like, when you start, you would think you're doing a very good job, but then when you see the same thing after 2 years, you would feel like you could have done this better. So I think every year, I've been into this for like 3 years, and I think each year I was actually growing
Right.
and growing and growing. And I don't think there would be a point where I look back and felt like, I should have taken that job. No, not even once. And that's when I felt like, I'm doing the right thing and I'm on the right path, and I want this more. So for me, the transition happened like that. But on the other hand, like I said, I had not much of a responsibility attached to me at that point. At the same time, the money that I have saved for the 2 years from my previous job sort of helped me to, settle down to this, like, start a business. So I do get asked this question a lot, like, how did you manage to, completely quit a job and start a business? So I say, like, I didn't start like where my bank account was zero. No, there was a little amount in it, and that amount was something that, sort of, I don't have like an investor or a partner. It's all me. wishing it is so far all about me. So I just took that entire amount that I had in my account and put it into my business. So yes, I did have something to start with. So
Right.
my advice to most of the people is like, it's not like you need an empty balance. It is a must that you have a little bit savings where you can just put that as an initial investment into your business, and you don't go bankrupt completely if you're quite confident with, you're going in the right path and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, this is how this entire transition happened for me, and I'm quite bad about it.
Right. Amazing. Where most of the dreams were, stopped, or the moments in which, the society tells you, yeah, you won that. You got into a job, man, like you are ready for it.
Yeah.
Now you go for the next step, go work, and then get married. I mean, this is something this society gives you, once you attain that, people tell you, okay, yeah, you got a good job, now good salary, like what next? I mean, that's
Yeah.
where I feel a lot of dreams were being, stopped at one point. I mean, there are people who do extensively well in their profession and go above, but I've seen people who got stuck in the place where they've started and just going along with the flow, not really sure whether they're meant for it, but the things around them, uh, drive them. I mean, many cases, like probably because of people's situation, people had to be in a job. They cannot do certain risk, like the way probably you said, like your family supported. Many people, some people might not have that, freedom to go for what they want.
Yeah.
This, there is a system around whatever we are functioning, how they want to keep that first step. I mean, I'm more concerned about that. Like, this is all about the people who want to start but not able to start. We as a society need to encourage more such initiations, right? Like, even the parents should say, hey, if you're not happy, just try for it, take a break. Because when I was in UK, like for my postgrad, like I've seen people, the one of my classmates who was studying a particular course with me, she's a 38 years old woman, kid of I think 2, but she completely changed her profession because she wanted to get into management after she was into teaching, but she wanted to take the decision. As a society, I think there is something which is lacking in our mindset, where you give your hurdle or a barrier at certain point of time, right? That is something we need to break. We people like us and many people who have been doing that, but we need more people. I mean, the idea behind this podcast is to tell people that there are a lot of opportunities out there where people need to create things. People need to create jobs.
Yeah.
You must have added value to many other people or freelancers who you would have worked with. I mean,
Yeah.
when you create things, you create jobs. I mean, as an
Yeah.
artist,
True.
I think you also told me about your plans of getting into a design boutique and everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
where you wanted to create more jobs. That is great, right? Like,
Yep.
when in a recession time like this, people don't have jobs. I'm getting every day like 10-15 applications for job, but people who are ready to get into a professional level work, it's very less. I mean, they don't have any experience. And as a startup, when you're giving opportunity to somebody, like, you want to see that potential in them. So I think that
Yeah.
kind of comes in when they start working or trying out things when they are in college, or when they are in taking a break after college. I think that break definitely uh, would help people. That is something probably even you mentioned about the
Yeah.
break which you have taken. Even I've taken the break. I think that break everybody needs when they are not sure about what they are wanting in their life. What do you think about that? I mean, how that break helps?
Yeah, I think the break is, sometimes you feel you don't know what you want. And I think the reason is because you're focused on so many other things that you're not able to focus on this one thing, that what you want. So once you just, put all those things aside and be like, I want a break. I want to let go of all the other things and just focus on one particular thing. I think that's what we call break. And it can be different. Like, for some you just, quit your job and sit and think, and for some it can be like they can still be in a job, but instead of putting so many things on their plate, they'll be just focused on one particular thing and they figure things out eventually. But yeah, you're just giving a break to your mind, or you're completely taking a break like from a job or something. But yeah, a break is definitely needed for you to understand and focus on what you need, because we live in a society where we usually like to multitask or put so many things on our plate and be like, I am capable of doing these things. But in reality, we are supposed to be very simple. take one thing at a time and focus on that. And if that is your burning problem, then you're supposed to solve that. So I think for me right now, that point, the burning problem was like, I'm not happy with this job. What am I supposed to do next?
Right.
How can I
As
make
simple
myself
as that.
better? Yeah. So and I didn't care about the rest of the things, like, what people will tell and why am I doing this, am I doing for the society, nothing like that, because I was very clear, like, ever since I think I got into college and what I wanted, the things that I've, like, the life lessons I've learned, I've always been like, what makes me happy and where do I want to be and why am I doing this, and all these things should matter. Should not be like I'm doing this for someone else or someone said me to do this. No, I'm doing this only because I like doing this. So I've always been in that space. So even when a job came on my zone, I was like, I'm doing this job. I was happy, but right now I'm not. So what am I supposed to do next? How can I make my life better, instead of, still sitting there and being like, yeah, I think maybe if I do this, it'll change, or maybe if I do that, but it's still be that job was not working out for me. So
Right.
yes, and also at the same time, I didn't know what to do next, but I definitely knew I'm not going to be doing this for the rest of my life. So I just wanted to step out and see what and all options are available there and what is that I can do and be happy in it. And that's why I took that break to figure things out. So like I said, I was also like trying to go into a different city with the same kind of a job, but then I think universe itself provided an opportunity for me in the form of art, and definitely grateful for that. But yes, if I hadn't taken that break, I think I wouldn't have been able to, discover Instagram or discover the other side of what I can do. Because even in that break, I was also learning. I was learning lettering and calligraphy, which later became the very foundation of my brand.
Right.
So I think the break definitely helped me clear a lot of things and decide what I wanted next. So yes, if you ask me, I would say, yeah, you definitely need a break. There is not a number like, 1 month or 1 year. It totally depends on you. But even if you're someone who's taking a year break, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. If
Right.
your decision takes that long, you can take that time. And
Mhm.
it really doesn't matter. You don't have to feel very bad for taking that year break, or sort of that thing. Like, people might tell you I wasted a year, but that really doesn't matter if you really
Right.
come out with a good option that is going to you know make you happy for the rest of your year. So you wouldn't mind wasting that 1 year, because that 1 year has led you to this decision which is going to make you happy for the rest of your life. So yeah, break is definitely needed.
Amazing. So I think we are towards the end of the conversation. I think we had a very interesting conversation, but there are a couple of questions which I want to ask. I mean, one thing, we'll talk
Sure.
a little bit more about Wishing Inc. and what you're doing and
Yeah.
what is your plans, and as a design,
Hmm.
as a career, and how things are moving. And that is something I want to hear from you. And the other thing before that, so you being a woman, and I've seen people who have that passion, and there are a lot of restriction for girls in our society more than boys, right? Like, you're supposed to be in a way, right? After a particular
Hmm.
age, you need to get married and you need to settle
Yeah.
down. And those things are there. But I'm personally, like, I'm somebody who's against, like, let's say you're 25, you need to get married, or you're 30, you need to get married. It's not about that. I mean, I have, because since I've traveled, I've been with people, I've seen a lot of friends. I mean, when you have that kind of an expectation till the time you are not meeting somebody whom you're meant to spend your rest of your life with. But as a society as a whole, like, we have certain age limits for certain things. You need to do
Yeah.
this and this. How do you actually approach that barriers in your life? And what do you feel that, what parents have to think? I mean, is it just about, pushing their, or making their, finding a right partner for their girl and sending them? Or is it about giving them an opportunity or giving them a chance to be themselves? So how have you approached that? I mean, what would you suggest the parents or even the fellow colleagues or mates who are watching this, who want to, show you as an example, or like, I want to be this, I want to do this. I mean, this the entire thing of what you're doing right now. So what do you think
Yeah.
about that? I want to know about the barriers which you had.
For me, I don't think I had much barrier, because I'm quite open with my parents about the things I want, and I tell them like this is what it is and this is how it's going to be. So yeah, even in my case, I did have all those things where you're supposed to get married in this particular age, you're not doing it, you're still single and stuff like that. But I think for me, I was quite very sure when I told my parents like age is not a big deal for me, and for me, I cannot just get married to someone just for the sake of the society. Yeah, definitely if I meet someone, I would do it, but I don't know a time frame or like, this is happened this time. But yeah, just give me that space. And if something happens, yeah, I'm definitely, going to come and tell you, and, you can take things forward. But until that, please don't force me into these things. And luckily, my parents are understanding. And I don't think all Indian parents would be that way. But my parents, yeah, initially they were like, no, this, that, and all. But I think I was very confident with my decision, irrespective of what they had to say. Like, this is what it is,
Amazing.
and I cannot do more than that. Right. But this was my case. But there are also other cases where, you even though you're forced into an arranged marriage at a certain point, you still want to pursue things, but you find a partner who's going to be very supportive of it, then you are definitely blessed.
Right.
So it also depends on, if sometimes you cannot do certain things when you are around your parents, and when you get married, it sort of changes for you. You sort of experience a very different freedom with your partner. So I think it all depends on what kind of situation generally, women are forced into. So for me, I don't know. So far, I feel like, marriage is something that I don't want to get into, but it's not like I'm completely against it. But I think for people who are married and have this freedom with their partner, where the partner is totally okay with them experimenting and exploring stuff and are very ready to support them, I think they should just give it a go without even thinking. So yes, it's marriage or no marriage. It really doesn't matter if you have that sort of people supporting you around, then you are fine to go with it. If you even don't have and you really want to do this, then I think you shouldn't be depending on other people. You can just do what you want to do if you
Is
really
that to
have that
begin?
sort of, yeah, just that sort of confidence. I don't think you need to depend on anything, because come on, life is short, and if you just look back at it, what are you going to take out of it? Like living a life without doing things you wanted to do, or living a life by just doing the things that you wanted to do and you're totally happy with it? I don't think, sometimes people ask me like, you took this profession and yeah, it's not going to pay you like what you think of, an IT field or something, and sometimes you don't get a paid even for a couple of months when you don't have projects, because business is like that. Sometime you have a couple of projects, and some days you are just like there and sitting and working on your personal project, and you never know the outcome. But I think more than that, more than money and more than these things, I think people don't understand the value and importance of happiness and how it can impact their life. uh, so for me, I feel like it doesn't matter if you're going to make tons of money but you're going to be stressed. I would rather say like, I'm totally fine being like this. I'm happy with what I'm doing and I'm stress free. And that's more than enough. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why I still keep looking young no matter what. So I'm really happy and quite happy to be in that place. And if, like I said, marriage or no marriage, it really doesn't matter for me. And for me, I would say like, even if in future I have plans like, getting married, I'm definitely looking forward to someone who would be supportive of what I am doing right now. And if he is not in that space, I would definitely respect him and be like, it's okay, we are not on the same page and you don't have to do this. And I'm also not willing to do this. So I'm not going to force myself into any of those things. And I'm very sure about it. And I don't know how many girls would be like that. But yeah, I do wish like, when you just want certain thing and you are capable of doing those things, and you feel like, you're just restricted by these things like family, society and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it does feel like little bit of, wish you could do those things and make things different, but you are very much capable of doing that. You have that power, but not many people, understand and,
Right. Let's have
recognize
more
that power.
Vidyas coming up. Let's have more people. I mean, definitely there are people, right? Like they are standing for what they want. I mean, things are changing. I think it should change. I mean, it has to
Yeah.
change. People have that kind of things. I mean, regular stuff. I mean, things are supposed to be this way. Girls are supposed to be this way. I think we as a society, I think many people from the cities might not connect to it, but us being from other parts of the state, I mean, definitely people have to be more independent. People have to take their own decisions because we have been educated to do. We have been told a lot of things. You have been, you have done a complete course, but still, like, you are not allowed to make your own decisions. That is something that has to change. I mean, totally on your page. I would like to, and now I'd like to know a bit about your plans, like as a career, like what you have been doing and what is that? I mean, the money part comes in, as you mentioned, like couple of months, you don't get a profile. But I think that's the other way around, right? Like design professionals make a lot of money and people don't even realize it. And I
See,
mean,
my
how it
profession is
works.
basically my brand. It though started with like completely handmade stuff, and we were like doing it like on a very limited quantity because handmade is something that you cannot go on a larger quantity. So it started that way, but then eventually I felt like I need to cater both the categories. Like there is handmade people who love handmade stuff, and then there are people who cannot afford that, so they sort of look into digital and printing stuff. So when you compare handmade and print stuff, I mean, it's quite expensive in comparison with print. So what I did was I wanted to cater both. So I went on to the next level of where making prints and stuff out of my artwork. So right now what I do is I do original paintings as well, and I also have a digital platform where I do convert my paintings into digital and sell it on my online platform. So right now I haven't started my website. The website is on work, and mostly just hoping like by Jan end we'll be launching a website. So it's in work. But most of my sales are happening through another platform called Instamojo, and that's how I've been going for 2 years. So initially it was just with handmade stuff, but then I slowly started feeling like my work can add like good vibes to other people's space as well. So how can I do that? So I started looking on products like calendar and posters and stuff like that. So for the past 3 years I've been launching calendars. So we do this every year, and I think it was also an experimenting phase for me from 2019 to see how things work, and now it has become a thing. Like people regularly buy my calendars because they love my art. So one thing led to another. So now what I have on my mind is like taking things to the next level. That's launching the website and coming up with more products that would brighten the space of people, my clients, and everything. And apart from that, I'm also doing freelance. So I am doing designing for like a lot of brands for their like packaging design, or chocolate wrapper designing and stuffs like that. So yeah, there are definitely projects and so many promising projects that I have for this year. So coming back to the part where money, yeah, as I said, certain months you do have like so much of projects, and then suddenly you don't have projects. I think when you don't have projects is the time when you start working on your personal project, which is like you creating something for your overall followers, like the say a calendar or a planner or something. So you use that time to build those kind of things. And when you have a lot of projects, I don't think you sort of get that time to work on your personal products and stuff like that. So I am quite now right now like quite confused in balancing these two things because it's quite new to me, but I think I'll eventually figure things out. And there are so many new things for the wishing ink in terms of products. So I will not say that right now because trying to keep things like little on the surprise note.
Right.
But yeah, there are so many different things. And the first thing that is right now on my mind is launching the website with few products that we have on mind. And it's definitely going to be completely different from, what you see or what you have seen on my feed. But yeah, and on the other hand, I also want to sort of create an online store. It's not just about my products, but also since I'm into calligraphy and stuff, where they can source these kinds of products as well. Like yeah, there are so many other stationery products and stuff like that, but I want to be unique. So I'm looking for people who make handmade pens or handmade paints and stuff like that. So you can connect it more to yourself, because my brand started as a handmade brand. So I want to keep that legacy going as well, along with the digital platform as well. So these are the things that are going. And apart from that, we also have a couple of workshops lined up for the year. So
Amazing.
I do have collaborated with a lot of platforms, and apart from that, I'm also planning to have a couple of like one-on-one sessions, which has been a thing from 2020, but planning to take it on a large scale and make it more professional. So where people can instead of just asking me over Instagram, they can just go and pop into my website and fill in details and be ready for a day that works for them. So planning to
Fantastic.
take things to the next level, but yeah, so many things are planned up, and I am just looking forward working on these things right now.
Uh, Amazing. So, guys, you guys, I mean, you can take Wishing Ink as an example. Designers out there, artists out there, there is no barrier at all. Like even without the website, I mean, just with Instagram, you can make a fantastic business out of it. You guys should check. I'll give the link of Wishing Ink's Instagram handle in the description. And we need more artists like Vidya, more girls coming out of smaller towns, creating a change. I think that we as a country, we as a society needs it. Uh, and this is the last part of the conversation. I'm planning to ask this one question to all the speakers I'm going to invite in the next coming weeks. So,
Hmm.
what drives you? I mean, what is that one thing which drives you to keep on going? What is that one thing, if you have to say?
I think the very fact that I get up in the morning and there is this text from you don't know a lot of your followers, but then they are like, your art inspires me every day. It makes me want to do things. And there's sometimes, I put up quotes which actually motivate people to get up from their bed and, do things. I think this sort of the community that I have on Instagram, the support that I get, and when people, when I get to know that there are people looking up to me, and I'm making up their day. So these are the things which make me feel like I have to keep doing this, and
Right.
I have to keep inspiring a lot of people to be doing this, because I think when I started doing I just did that. I don't know. I didn't have much of an inspiration to look onto, or something, or someone who would guide me to, or help me, or where I could go and ask these things, like what I should be doing. Everything was something that I did by myself. So right now, when I see people who are in the same state like me, and I just want them to be, like, I'm there for you, can help you out with all these things that you have on your mind. And definitely things are possible. Like when I started, I didn't know art could make something like this. I can make money out of it or something like that. But today I'm here and I'm doing so many different things. And definitely you guys can also do much more than this, maybe more than what I am doing. uh, but to make that message reach to people, I have to be there, and I have to be doing, and I have to make it possible. Like, if I can do it, you guys can definitely do it. So I think I sort of want to be that living example and make people sure, like, art is not just a hobby, there's more to it. And you know it's just like any other profession, like a doctor or an engineer. And I think more in this platform, you get what do you call, respected like anything, because there's sometimes conversation with me and my dad, like, oh, you could have done that and this. But the only thing I say him, like, if I had done this, I don't think I would have been ever on a paper
Most
or
people.
someone talking about me. Or
Right.
there are certain people, like certain number of people who know me and appreciate me on everyday
Right.
basis. So I'm really glad that I'm not a doctor, I'm not earning much or doing something like an engineer, or anything on that path. But I am in the right path, and I'm guiding a lot of people who I have not met in my real life, but still they believe me, they believe in my art. And that one belief makes them want to do so many things in their life. And sometimes there are people who say, like, looking at your post, it made my day. And those sort of messages are what I look forward to. I think these are the things that drive me to be doing what I want to be doing. And I'm really happy to be like a part of this community, which is very supportive and very, what do you call, appreciating of whatever I do. And even there are times when I feel very low, but my followers are very sweet, and they always make sure, like, like, you never know, like they come up with a message saying, like, are you okay, is everything okay? Like, you never expect these things from them.
Yeah.
Like, you would have hardly talked to
Amazing.
them, but they're like there. So I
Right.
think I wouldn't want to miss on any of these things. And I think more than me doing things for me, it has now become doing things for these people, because they look up to me on everyday basis. And if there is a possibility that I can change their life, like even for, like, a tiny bit, I'm happy to do that.
Amazing. I think at the end of the day, all entrepreneurs, they want to create some impact, and I can see that you're already making a lot of
Yeah.
impact. And fantastic having you here. Thanks for the time. And we will definitely catch up again when you're established your design studio. Looking forward to it.
Sure.
And thank you. It's been an amazing
Thank
time. I mean,
you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. And it was really fun answering these questions and discussing all these things with you, because I think we both have been on the sort of the same boat for a very long time. And I think this sort of interaction opens up a lot of, opportunities for a lot of people who are, still confused and don't know what to do. So I'm really glad that you started up with this series, and I'm quite excited to see what other, people you're going to interview on. And,
exactly. It is
keep
about,
doing.
I want to learn also, like when we are interacting and when we actually bring out the real stories, right? Because many a times it is when people talk about startup, it about the funding thing, it about the money which they make, CVCA, CVC, but beyond that, above all of that, it is about the journey, right? Like the invaluable things which we talked about. I want to get that from many of the entrepreneurs, and I think there's a lot of learning for me and my team also out there. And yeah, happy to be initiating this. And thank you, Vidya. Let's
Thank you. Thank you,
see you
DJ.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.